Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Pitch. We're the soccer show for people who think Bristol City is where ESPN is located.
All right. I guess it's not for me then. Well, it's been a short show.
Well, you see that ESPN, which everybody here in the U.S. that watches sports has probably watched ESPN at one time or another. It's kind of one of the major sports channels over here, and is headquartered in the city of Bristol, Connecticut.
Oh, really?
But yes,
There
and
you go.
so I would imagine Bristol, Connecticut, and any of the other Bristols like Tennessee, where they have the fine NASCAR track at, is probably named after the original Bristol, which is on the western coast of England. And that, of course, is where Bristol City, which is a team that plays in the EFL Championship, which we're going to do a bit of a roundup on today. And Mr. Wizard, I know that you've been really getting deep into the championship, haven't you, this year?
Yeah, and I think this is, this is a great start to this season in the championship. I mean, you're talking first through just to stop it at 12th is only separated by 6 points. So you got a team like Birmingham sitting at 12th. You know, they win a couple of games and they could be up in, those playoff spots or those automatic promotion spots. I mean, there's going to be so much fluctuation going on, and a lot of these teams look like they're very competitive with each other. So it's going to be an exciting year.
Yes, indeed. And what a super Saturday of football it's been. It's been a showcase of scintillating soccer, thrilling upsets, and amazing falls from grace, the likes of which we haven't seen since last St. Totteringham's day. Yeah, we're wrapping up all the Saturday action. We're digging up some dirt on across the pitch today. So strap yourself in. We're going to unload. But first...
And make sure you guys give us a follow on social media. You can find us on all the major platforms, Twitter at Across Pitch, and on Facebook and Instagram at Across the Pitch. We're going to be looking to do some more live stuff on Instagram and Twitter, kind of reacting to our local team, Phoenix Rising, as they gear up for the playoffs. And then tomorrow, after whenever you're listening to this, tomorrow, October 6th, is decision day in the MLS. And so we'll be wrapping up who's making those final playoff spots. And so I'll be looking to do a little reaction to that live on Instagram after all those games wrap up, probably about 3:00 our time.
That's exciting stuff in the MLS. I love how they've done that. Just as an aside, we are talking about the EFL today, but last week I was very impressed, I have to say. By the way, those games were broadcast. They were broadcast. The West Coast was broadcast all at the same time, and they would cut across to decisive moments in each of the various matches, and it was fun. And they're doing it again this week, I believe.
Yeah, this week all the games kick off at 1 p.m. Arizona time tomorrow. And so you got some big games tomorrow. Portland, San Jose.
Portland, San Jose, that's a big one.
I mean, that's pretty much a win and in. If whoever wins that game's making the playoffs. So there's still 2 spots up for grabs in the West to get those last 2 playoff spots. So it should be a good day.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. And my name is Phil Kennedy, and as always, I'm here with my co-hosts,
Arran and
Matt Robards.
And like I said at the beginning, we're going to do a little bit of an EFL roundup. And one of the things that we've been doing this year is each of us have kind of taken one league that we've focused in on. I've been focusing a lot on League One, but Matt, you like you said, you've really been into the championship. There's a real good race heating up there. Right now you have West Brom and Notts Forest top of the table, 22 points.
We're not allowed to say that, Phil.
Oh, yes. Right now we have West Brom and Nottingham Forest top of the table with 22 points. And then right behind them, you have Preston and Swansea, 21 points. Right behind them, you have Leeds and Bristol City, 20 points. So the top 6 right now are separated by 2 points.
Yep.
And then you have 3 teams on 19 points. It is just a Los Angeles El Tráfico jam on the table there.
I think the most amazing thing about it is that lead has the number one spot in the championship has changed 3 times this week. It's nuts. So what do we have? We had Leeds, we had Swansea, and who's
now
up there
West
now?
Brom. Well, and even
West
when
Brom,
today started, Swansea and Leeds were sitting at 1 and 2. They're down at 4-5 now. I mean, it's wild how it's going, and this is a very competitive season this year in the championship. I think it's going to be. I mean, look at Fulham, who got relegated last year from the Prem, are sitting on 19 points. Had a great game come from behind today. It's just been a fun year, and it'll be a fun rest of the season for sure.
It absolutely will.
What about Stoke City?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because our friend Nathan Jones, who moved from Luton across to Stoke on probably what was a very lucrative contract, has not had the best of times. And when I say that, it's been fucking awful. So they hadn't won a game all season until today. And honestly, going into this, I'm pretty sure all the Jacks fans were like, we got this, 3 points in the bag. Not to be though, Matt.
No, I mean, this was a worst versus first situation. And Stoke, no wins on the season, coming in to play Swansea, who's sitting at the top, and it doesn't start off well at all for them. You got Andrew Ayew scoring in the first minute, and I'm sure Stoke fans, Potters fans were just thinking like, oh, here we go. This is it. We're not going to win this one. And then, they score the equalizer 20 minutes later, and then it's a back and forth game, balls off the post, off the crossbar, just scraps in the box. And finally, Stoke City gets one poked home in the 90th minute to seal that first victory away for the season.
Yeah.
And it's a result that essentially drops Swansea to 4th. I mean, just like that. I mean, it's just, you're talking these stats favored Swansea. You're talking 54% possession to 46%. 80% pass accuracy, less fouling on Swansea's part, more shots. And Stoke was just fighting, man. Stoke fought it out, and they got that late goal. And, congrats to the Potters and for getting that first win.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Stoke, as you know, but there must have been something that happened midweek in that dressing room because, by all accounts, Nathan Jones was out. I mean, midweek, even he said it's been grand, but you know what? I know I can see the writing on the wall. Then they turn us around and this happens. Like, it blows my mind sometimes, this game. Like a team that is down and out, they're still probably going to be relegated unless they have a massive turnaround in fortunes. I just don't get this game sometimes,
Right. Well, I mean, you even look at the bottom. So we talked about the congestion at the top of the table. At the bottom of the table, it's congested as well. You have Stoke dead last on 5 points. Barnsley are on 6. Reading's on 8. Huddersfield on 8. Middlesbrough on 10. I mean, Stoke puts together a couple wins. And Reading and Barnsley drop points, and Stoke's kind of out of that, is on their way to being out of the relegation zone. So, I mean, I don't think, we can sit back and say that Stoke's getting relegated today. It's way too early.
Right at the quarter point of the season right now. 11 games played for everybody. It's a 46-game season. So, I mean, next game, you're crossing that quarter way done with the season. There's still 75% of the season left, What I always say is you can't really say anything until Boxing Day.
Right.
And you know when that is, do you, Phil?
Well, I just, it would be a weird thing for an American guy to always say, so I just started always saying.
I love it.
I'll be at the car park.
Very good. There are a number of other games, other upsets in the championship as well. Millwall over Leeds. I don't think anyone saw that one coming either.
Not at all, man. Millwall at the Den, ready to fight. I mean, it was a tough day out for Leeds. Berardi picked up a red card in the 14th minute. So, Leeds is kind of on the back foot, but they dominated and controlled this game, 68% possession to 32%. But Millwall just does what Millwall does. They fought, they had more shots on target, and obviously they converted more. So, 2-1. Again, now we see Leeds drop from second to fifth. Millwall jumps a couple places up, I believe. They're now sitting where are they, 15th right now, kind of middle of the table. So, and it's one of those things, again, Millwall turns this into a couple more victories, and they're up at the top of the table.
Yeah, I mean, they're in 15th right now on 14 points. That only puts them 6 points out of fifth. Right. 7 points out of third, 8 points out of first.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Phil, when you called this is just the LA traffic jam going on here in the championship. I mean, there's not a lot separating these sides.
I don't know, London might have something to say about those traffic jams.
It has its moments, that's for sure.
So I think the other game that really caught my attention this afternoon or this morning was West Brom Cardiff. West Brom 4, Cardiff 2. Just a great showing by West Brom. Obviously, it was a match that took them to the top of the table. Again, they just kind of dominated this game. 66% possession. 564 passes to 274 passes, 82% pass accuracy. They had half as many fouls as Cardiff. They had the same amount of shots. I mean, it was just West Brom played a really good game. They come out 4-2 winners, and now they're sitting at the top of the championship.
It says a lot, though, doesn't it? When you have 66% possession and 560 odd passes. I mean, the Baggies have maybe this is just me, I don't know. They have a bit of a reputation as being just a little stodgy, nothing fancy about them. But they seem to, and this result is showing, they seem to have a bit of style and elan about them, if you will.
Right. Yeah. And you know what I think I like the best is they push through this entire game. I mean, you look at these goals, right? 20th minute, 42nd minute, 71st minute, the 93rd minute. I mean, they continued to push and push and push. Now there was a little bit of a Cardiff comeback mounting, after it was 3-0, Cardiff scored 2.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit, but that shows the resiliency of West Brom, I think, just to come back and put another one in the net in stoppage time, and say, hey, we're not going to let you come back. We're going to take this victory. This is our day. And, they look good today.
Well, they did. The other one that stood out to me as well is Preston North End, who absolutely thumped Barnsley 5-1.
Right.
And again, the first goal was in the 30th minute, but then they just kept scoring after that. It was almost with regular 10-minute intervals. It was quite remarkable, actually.
Yeah, I feel like this was the only match in the championship that actually ended up the way most people probably thought it would.
Right.
You have Barnsley sitting at 23rd, Preston North End now sitting in 3rd, and Barnsley's just been on a terrible run of form. 4 losses and a draw in their last 5. So I think going into this, everyone was expecting a Preston North End victory, and Preston North End came in and said, not only are we going to win, but it's going to be a resounding win at that.
Yes.
Do we have a few moments to talk about League One? Because there's definitely some interesting things that happen there. And now League One, I would have to say that I'm going to give it up to you Ipswich fans, because you've been talking about how you're going to walk the league, and it's so far. They're sitting atop the table. 27 points, 8 wins, 3 draws. They haven't lost yet. Plus 16 goal differential. They've only allowed 5 goals in 11 matches. So Ipswich, we will see you back in the championship next year. still leaves us.
Wait up, hang on. Didn't you say you weren't going to call stuff before Boxing Day?
Well, they
Plenty of
got
time
the
for them to call
express
Liverpool.
shipping, so
Yeah, all right. Oh, fair enough. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, their victory today wasn't, it wasn't like they walked all over Fleetwood.
no, but that was a road
No.
match at the third place team, and they still got a
Right.
clean sheet. And I mean, certainly, somebody else might step up there, but I just don't quite see it. I think this is realistically a championship team that's playing in League One.
I would say any team that has Joey Barton on it, if you beat them, then that's a great day.
Ah. I mean, I can't really argue with that. I mean, but what I really wanted to get down to is, Ipswich. You're doing great, but behind Ipswich, we have a Paris traffic jam happening here.
Not a rating traffic jam, is it? Here comes the bus.
Ouch.
Yeah, if you guys have not been on our Facebook page, you definitely need to see the gentleman who had a rough entrance into the pub.
I don't know. Maybe there was something saying, mate, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't go to the pub today. He's like, screw you. Don't you tell me what to do, fate.
But getting back to the standings here, you really have to look at third place Fleetwood, who we were just talking about. They're on 20 points. And then if you look all the way down to 14th place Burton, they're on 15 points. So you have third place and 14th place separated by 5 points right now. And you just, if you look at the table, I want to tell you something interesting here. If you look at the table right now, every team between 11th and 16th place won today.
Wow.
And then if you look at the second, third, and fourth place teams, you have 2 losses and a draw today. So, it's an anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Lincoln City, who has been struggling mightily since they lost Danny Cowley to Huddersfield, what did they do today? They went out and they blanked Sunderland 2-0.
I tell you what, and the Sunderland fans were not happy. At the end of the game, at the way end, there was one guy left who applauded the Imps as they came off the field. Yeah, I mean, that's a promoted team there in Lincoln, isn't it? And, well, Sunderland, they've been meaning to walk the league now for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, they can't quite seem to get it together over in Sunderland. I mean, they've got the players. I think ultimately they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't think that they're anywhere near where Ipswich is at. Another thing that we should mention is AFC Wimbledon got their first win of the day, or they got their first win of the season today. So that means that Bolton is now the only team that hasn't won. Keeping in mind, Bolton right now, they had that 12-point penalty. They are at -9. They're going to get relegated. I can call that before Boxing Day. They are at -9 points right now, so they would have to win 3 games just to get back to 0. We already had Barry, who's out of it. So basically, 2 of the relegation spots are spoken for. Then you have Southend United. They are absolutely atrocious. -16 goal differential. They've only won once all year. 4 points. From what I've seen of them, they're going to get relegated too. That really means that there's one relegation spot left to fight over. You have AFC Wimbledon, who won today. They're up on 6 points. They're sitting on it right now. Then you have Tranmere at 9, Rochdale at 10, Accrington at 11. MK Dons at 12, Portsmouth at 12. So I would say anything from 16th on down that's still within the 6 points of the relegation line. Those are the teams that have to watch out a little bit for Wimbledon, I would say.
Hey, I just have to ask, what the hell happened to Portsmouth?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of taken my eye off the Portsmouth ball there. They were in promotion zone last year, and this year they're just not. They haven't got it together, have they?
Well, one thing that should be mentioned is they've played 2 fewer games than everybody else.
True, good point. Yeah.
But yeah, they got off to a real rocky start, but they have won their last 2. I think that they'll ultimately turn things around and at least be a upper mid pack team. The teams that I think are going to struggle and fight for that last that last relegation spot, I think it's going to come down to Tranmere and in Wimbledon, honestly.
Yeah, you're probably right. So we haven't spoken about our favourite team, our mascot team, if you will, Accrington Stanley. You're going to say that they're going to pull away from that relegation zone, Phil?
I absolutely believe so. And I speak from this as a position of somebody that watches Accrington Stanley play every weekend. And at the end of the day, we've talked about this quite a bit about how many new players they have. This is by far the most talented roster that Accrington Stanley has ever put on the field. They're starting to mesh together a little bit more. And I'll tell you what's impressive is today they went out against Oxford United, a team that was as good a form as any team in the league. They had won 2 in a row. They had recorded 4 clean sheets in a row in league, 5 overall if you include their League Cup match with West Ham. Accrington came out and put 2 on the board against them today. That tells me that they're starting to click on offense. Colby Bishop, he's a guy that has been real solid. He's leading the team in scoring. Joe Pritchard, he's a guy that's going to be their best creator in the midfield. He's starting to get more playing time. It's really that second striker's role that's a little bit of a concern to me. Dion Charles has looked really good at times, but today he had one of the worst games I've seen. He just wasn't there today. I'm sure everybody's already seen the awry free kick that I posted on Facebook.
It wasn't pretty, was it? It wasn't pretty. Did that actually make it over the stand? I think that looked like it went over the end there, didn't it?
It went over the right. So basically, I'd say it was about 25 yards out, set up just to the left of the goal post, and it flew out over the top of the right corner flag. He also had some turnovers in the midfield where he had his own defender, Mark Hughes, was really getting after him for turning the ball over. He ended up getting replaced at halftime, subbed off for Arran Zanzala. That ended up being a great move by John Coleman because Zanzala was the one that got that second equalizer and allowed Stanley to walk away with the point today. Dion has had some very nice goals, so I think that we will see him get back on track, but certainly it's going to be a match that he's going to want to forget about. I mean, anytime he gets subbed off at halftime, that's not a good day.
Right.
No, it's not really, is it? All right. Hey, I want to have a real quick chat about League Two. Now, there was a team we mentioned last season here on Across the Pitch that we hadn't really mentioned before, and that was Forest Green. You might remember those guys. They're the vegans. Well, apparently they're vegans. I don't know.
Isn't that movie with Tom Hanks?
Run, Forest Green, run. They've strung together a bunch of results that sees them top. And again, this is a bit surprising. They were in the playoff places. I don't think they actually made the playoff in the end, but they were certainly in the running there towards the end of last season.
They made the playoff.
Oh, that's right. They did against Tranmere, didn't they? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you wrote the article.
Yeah.
That was your famous article, I think.
That
actually.
was, yes. I'm not very popular in the world because of that. Birkenhead. Yes, Forest Green, top. Sitting top. Not bad for a bunch of greenies, you'd have to say. Couple behind that, well, actually, just 1 point behind that is one of our favourite teams on here and across the pitch as well. That's Newport County. Haven't they done well this year?
Yeah.
Got a 96th minute winner from a guy that scored his first ever goal today. I'm actually going to look this up now that you bring it up here. I had posted about it earlier. George Nurse in the 96th minute from 25 yards out to win it.
Man, I'm going to have to watch that. That sounds like a belter.
What a great way to score your first goal.
Yeah.
Seriously, in Fergie time, zip. I mean, that was absolutely last gasp stuff. That's incredible. And you know what? That was their only shot on target too.
Yeah, I mean that's about as opposite as you can get from the day that Dion Charles had.
Exactly. Poor Dion.
We still love you, Dion. We're just giving you a little hard time on that, but I think that's one of those ones where you know, when you have a kick like that, you just gotta kind of laugh about it and say hey, that happens.
Yeah, and I tell you what, mine would have been worse off. Mine wouldn't have made the M65. I can tell you that. It probably would have clattered off some advertising hoardings at the other end.
That looks similar to what you said your strategy was when you used to play.
Quite right, actually. Yeah, no, quite right. Yeah. I was never shooting on goal. That was my defensive tactic. Now, there's some interesting things that happened during the week for League Two. It seemed like, and I don't know whether it was actually ratified, but it seemed like the way that they were going to progress with having one team less in the top four tiers, that being Berry, is that they're only going to have one relegated team this year from League Two, and you'd have two being promoted up from non-league. I thought that was really interesting because all of a sudden...
I thought that they were only relegating 3 from League One, was what it was.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing, is 3 go down from League One, and then 4 still go up from League Two. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm happy to stand corrected on that.
So then I guess that would leave League 2 one short, and I think that's what you're getting at. They're going to have to add another one from non-league then.
Well, 2 go up from non-league. So,
yeah,
it still does, doesn't it? So, yeah. Okay, well, that kind of makes sense then, doesn't it? So we can both be right. Awesome.
Well, now I'm confused. If 3 drop down and 4
I think
go
2
up,
are coming up from non-league.
You've still got... Right, but only 1 down from League Two. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's
right.
okay. So yeah, we were all correct in different pieces.
Of course we are. I mean, that's why we have this show. We're always correct, never wrong. So at the moment, there is only one team there. I can't say that really because between Stevenage, Morecambe and Scunthorpe, there's 2 points, and it's really the battle of who's worst down there, isn't it?
Well, right now, 2 of those 3 teams you've named have a win, and one is still winless after 12 games. So
I know
that's incredible.
That horrible start.
They did, and Stevenage just had 5 draws. You'd think you would eke out a win there somewhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at these goal differentials, -10, -12, -8, and to make things worse, Stevenage has to play with that Burger King logo on their shirt. I mean, they're having a whopper of a season. Your way,
Maybe
right
that's
away. We digress.
We do digress indeed. By the way, Burger King, if you're listening to us, call. I haven't done that enough this season. I have a new segment to introduce to Across the Pitch, you guys. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. do it.
Yeah, all right. So this is suggested by my mate Matt from Brisbane in Australia. Hi, Matt. How
Go
are
on,
you?
Matt.
He said. He said we should have a joke of the week, and he suggested it. So here it is. Ready? Joke of the week on Across the Pitch. I think you cut me off there, Phil, because that was the punchline and the joke in one. Tottenham Hotspur. How you doing over there, Spurs? What's going on? Just before I go, it is the National Rugby League Grand Final tonight in Australia. It is the Canberra Raiders versus the Sydney Roosters. They call themselves now. They used to be called Easts. And it's a Sydney versus Canberra affair. Should be great. I'm going for Canberra because I can't stand the Cocks. So up the milk.
Go Raiders.
Yep, go Raiders.
Win, baby. Well, I think that's all that I had for today. Did you guys have anything else?
I think
Not at all. It was good talking with you guys today.
And you, mate, and you. Uprising.
Uprising.